Hey guys, Nick here, and today I am talking to you about a game called Phantom Dust, which is literally one of my favorite games of all time, and why I am 99% sure that we're going to be getting a sequel pretty soon, maybe even as soon as E3. If you haven't heard of Phantom Dust before, that's okay, and actually makes a lot of sense because most people haven't. It's this weird little action/collectible card game that came out exclusively on the original Xbox way back in 2005, almost a decade ago. It also happens to be fucking cool as hell. So here's the short version. You build these decks of about 30 skills, which are basically just cards, and during battle you randomly draw these cards and fight against other players in these real-time, full 3D destructible environments. All the skills in the game are totally different, so some of them are melee attacks, some of them are these long-distance laser-type moves, some are defensive, some are one-time use, some even sabotage your opponent's deck. There's like power-ups, trip mines, debuffs, invisibility. It's basically what Magic the Gathering would be like if it was real, if that makes any sense. There's something like 300 skills in the game, but every one feels meaningful and valuable and makes deck building a super fun thing to do. It's kind of a hard game to describe, mostly because there's never been a game quite like it. It's the brainchild, that's a gross word, but it's the brainchild of Yukio Futatsugi, who's the dude who created the Panzer Dragoon games, and it's hugely imaginative. Every level is like a slice of sort of the most Japanese vision of the apocalypse you could ever imagine, and each one is super creative. One is a big, mangled up wreck of a highway, and then there's another one where you fight on the narrow beams of an oil refinery at sunset, and then there's my favorite, where you fight on a sideways city, jumping from building to building, way before Gravity Rush ever did that. The game is gorgeous, especially when you remember that it's from 2 generations ago on the original Xbox. The whole thing has this kind of grim, muted color palette, but not in the lazy, serious war game way. This is a game that precedes the Xbox 360 and Gears of War and all those gray-brown next-gen games. It's apocalypse drab, but it's punctuated with these dark pastels and sunset colors. And just the enemy designs, man, like they're just, ugh, look at them! Look at them! Look how good they are! Some people will tell you that the camera in Phantom Dust was hard to deal with, and those people are fucking wrong. Phantom Dust is a perfect game, and I will not tolerate one word to the contrary. So to give you my personal background with Phantom Dust, I was pretty much obsessed with the game from the jump. I remember playing hundreds of hours of the online and split-screen multiplayer with my friends back in high school. There was one winter where I found a guy on eBay selling sealed copies of Phantom Dust for $5 a pop, so I bought like 6 of them and gave them out to my friends as Christmas presents. I also remember importing the soundtrack, which came with these cool little prototype card games for a card game that never actually existed, plus a copy of the Halo 2 issue of Famitsu magazine, because I wanted to get the Phantom Dust poster out of it. This is embarrassing. I even found this super high-res scan of the box art and had it printed out on a poster-making website and hung it up on my wall. And yes, if you look closely, you'll notice that 15-year-old me is wearing an Alan Wake shirt 5 years before Alan Wake came out. It's weird how things come full circle like that. Speaking of weird, the development history of Phantom Dust is bananas. It was one of only a few titles developed by the short-lived Microsoft Game Studio Japan. Another crazy thing is that Phantom Dust was technically cancelled in America. Despite the fact that it was a first-party Xbox game and part of the development process actually took place in the United States in Redmond, Washington, Microsoft felt that the game was too risky to release here and decided not to put it out in the US. Believe it or not, Microsoft didn't think that a collectible card game set in a post-apocalyptic wasteland populated by super skinny Bishonen anime boys was, quote, marketable. Luckily, third-party publisher Majesco saw the opportunity and swooped in, publishing the game in North America at the budget price of $19.99, and the rest is cult classic video game history. Anyways, now that I've tricked you into letting me tell you the entire history of this game I love a lot, you're hopefully wondering what the future of Phantom Dust is and when we're gonna get a new one. Welcome to the past 8 years of my life. Luckily though, I think a Phantom Dust sequel is actually coming very, very soon, and here's why. There have been a few hints over the years that a new Phantom Dust game might happen. First of all, there's this 1UP interview from 2007, where Yukio Futatsugi says that he'd love to make a sequel, but Microsoft still owns the rights to the Phantom Dust property. However, he does say that he discussed it with Microsoft, and that making a sequel wouldn't be too tricky as long as it was, quote, created on Xbox 360 or Xbox 3. Fast forward to 2013 when Futatsugi gives an interview with US Gamer laying out some very specific plans for a crowdsourced Phantom Dust sequel that he would fund through Kickstarter, once again reiterating that it would have to be limited to Xbox consoles, PC, and smartphone due to Microsoft owning the IP. Then last November, Kotaku ran a long-form interview with Phil Spencer, the leader of Microsoft Gaming Studios and current head of Xbox, who specifically name-drops Phantom Dust as a franchise that they've personally talked to Futatsugi about rebooting on Xbox One. That same month, Futatsugi told Silicon Era that if Microsoft wanted to do a sequel, he would be on board immediately. So here's where it gets a bit gonzo journalism. Being a huge Phantom Dust fanboy, I got really excited and tweeted about the fact that PhantomDusted.com, my favorite Phantom Dust fan site of all time, relaunched after all these rumors started swirling. Phil Spencer then retweeted my tweet, which got picked up by NeoGAF and sent the internet into a small frenzy, or at least the Phantom Dust loving part of the internet. In response to this, Phil Spencer changed his profile picture on Twitter to the Phantom Dust disc, making the rumors swirl even more. Immediately after that, a creative director at Microsoft Studios named Adam Iskreen tweeted that they're exploring the idea of a Phantom Dust sequel and changed his Twitter banner to a screenshot of Phantom Dust. Then just a few months ago at GDC, Phil Spencer teased that they are releasing a, quote, unique exclusive title for the Xbox One from a wonderful Japanese developer, his words. Fast forward to last week when a website called Gaming Everything uncovered what feels to me like the most undeniable clue yet, the fact that Microsoft filed a new trademark in Europe for an online computer game called, you guessed it, Phantom Dust. On their own, a few of these clues are very small and none of them are 100% conclusive, but it feels like it paints a pretty clear picture, I think. I don't know, it's just starting to really feel like the right place and right time for a new Phantom Dust game. So I guess the only question left for me is what would a 2014 reboot of Phantom Dust even look like? I almost hate to say it, but I feel like the obvious collectible card game angle is to make it a free-to-play downloadable game. That idea does kind of scare me a bit as someone who has seen free-to-play games be really gross before, but then again Hearthstone has done the idea so elegantly that maybe there's room for them to do a good free-to-play Phantom Dust. I don't know, don't shoot the messenger. So for those of you who haven't played Phantom Dust, go try to find a copy. I know it's long out of print, but it's also backwards compatible on the Xbox 360, so you have pretty much no excuse not to play it. For those of you who have played the game, what do you think? What would you want to see in a Phantom Dust sequel? Do you think they could do the free-to-play thing without it being super yucky? I'm going to be hanging out in the comments and chatting with you guys and just rooting for this to happen until it becomes a real thing, because I have seriously been waiting for almost a decade for a new Phantom Dust, and I feel like we're this close to getting it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the comments.